Equals I should have known something was wrong when the ad appeared while I was watching cat videos at 3 a.m. The advertisement didn't follow the usual format. No bright colors, no obnoxious music, no obvious call to action button. Just a simple black screen with white text that read, "Think you're observant? Play, Find the Monster in the Room, a game that adapts to your skill level." Below it, a small download link pulsed gently, almost hypnotically. My finger hovered over the skip button, but something about the ad's understated nature intrigued me. After months of unemployment and sleepless nights, I craved any distraction from the crushing weight of my reality. What harm could a simple puzzle game do? The download was surprisingly quick for a mobile game. No app store, no permissions requests, no company logo. The icon that appeared on my phone was just a simple I symbol against a dark background. When I tapped it, the screen went black for several seconds before text appeared, "Welcome, Player 1. Level 1, find the monster hiding in this room." The image that loaded was a photograph of what appeared to be a child's bedroom. Teddy bears sat neatly on shelves, a small desk held coloring books and crayons, and a twin bed was perfectly made with a dinosaur print comforter. Sunlight streamed through gauze curtains, casting everything in a warm, innocent glow. I spent several minutes examining every pixel, looking for something out of place. Finally, I noticed one of the teddy bears had button eyes while all the others had embroidered ones. I tapped it. Correct. The monster was hiding in plain sight. Level 2, the monster is getting better at hiding. The second room was a kitchen, sterile and modern. White cabinets, stainless steel appliances, a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter. This time it took me nearly 10 minutes to spot the anomaly, a single cabinet door that was slightly ajar, revealing darkness where there should have been shelves. Correct. You have keen eyes. Level 3, the monster learns from each encounter. Level 3 showed a living room. Cream-colored furniture, family photos on the mantel, a fireplace with cold ashes. The wrongness was subtle. One of the family photos showed 4 people instead of the 3 that appeared in all the others. A fourth figure, blurry and indistinct, standing just behind the family. As I progressed through the levels, the rooms became more complex and the monsters more cleverly hidden. Level 7 featured a bathroom where the shower curtains pattern was wrong, tiny faces peering out from what should have been flowers. Level 12 showed an attic where the shadows fell in impossible directions, creating the silhouette of something hunched in the corner. By level 15, I had been playing for 3 hours straight. My eyes burned, but I couldn't stop. Each correct answer brought a small dopamine hit, a sense of accomplishment that had been absent from my life for months. The game's praise became more personal. Your perception is remarkable. You see what others miss. The monster respects your abilities. That last comment should have bothered me, but I was too absorbed to think about it critically. Level 20 showed a bedroom that looked remarkably similar to my own. Same color walls, similar furniture arrangement, even what appeared to be the same model of laptop sitting on the desk. I told myself it was coincidence. There were only so many ways to arrange a small bedroom. The monster in this level was hiding in the mirror's reflection, visible only as a slight distortion in the glass. When I found it, the game's response was different. Correct. The monster is impressed by your dedication. You've been playing for 4 hours and 17 minutes. I checked my phone's clock. The game was right down to the minute. When had it started tracking my play time so precisely? The next few levels blurred together. A library with books whose titles gradually shifted when you weren't looking directly at them. A restaurant where one chair had stains that looked like tears of blood. A hospital corridor where the room numbers were in the wrong order, creating a gap where room 237 should have been. By level 30, the wrongness in each room was becoming more disturbing. The monsters weren't just hiding, they were becoming more aggressive in their concealment. In a child's playroom, the monster was in the dollhouse, but when I looked closer, I could see it had arranged the tiny furniture to spell out words I couldn't quite make out. In an office building, the monster was hiding in an elevator, but the button panel showed floors that went down much further than any building should. Level 35, the monster wants to play a new game. This time, the room was completely dark except for a single lamp illuminating a chair. On the chair sat a phone, my exact model, in the same case I used. The monster wasn't hiding in this room. The monster was holding the phone, though I couldn't see it clearly in the shadows beyond the lamplight. I found myself leaning closer to my screen, trying to make out details in the darkness. For just a moment, I could swear I saw fingers wrapped around the phone, fingers that moved slightly, as if typing. My own phone buzzed with a notification. Correct. You found yourself. I hadn't tapped anything. My hands were trembling now, but I couldn't put the phone down. The next level loaded automatically. Level 36, the monster is learning your patterns. The image was my kitchen. Not similar to my kitchen, my actual kitchen. I could see the coffee mug I'd left on the counter, the stack of unopened mail, even the small water stain on the ceiling that I'd been meaning to have fixed for months. The monster was standing behind my refrigerator, just barely visible. But that was impossible, there wasn't enough space behind my refrigerator for anything to stand. I got up from my bed and walked to my kitchen, phone still in hand. I peered behind the refrigerator. Nothing there, of course. Just the wall and dust bunnies. When I looked back at my phone, new text had appeared, the monster saw you looking. Level 37, the monster knows where you live. This time it was my living room, photographed from the exact angle of my couch. The monster was in the corner where I kept my laundry basket, but the laundry was arranged differently, the clothes were positioned to form the shape of something sitting among them. I walked to my living room. My laundry basket sat in its usual spot, clothes haphazardly thrown in as always. But as I stared at it, I began to see how the folds and shadows could form the suggestion of a figure. The way my dark sweater draped over the edge looked almost like hair. A white sock could be a pale hand. I shook my head and returned to my bedroom. This was just pattern recognition, my brain making connections that weren't really there. Like seeing faces in clouds or hearing voices in white noise. Level 38, the monster is getting impatient. My bedroom again, but from a different angle, from the foot of my bed, looking toward my desk where I sat playing the game. In the image, I could see the back of a figure hunched over a phone. The figure looked like me, but wrong somehow. The proportions were off, the posture too rigid. And standing behind the figure, barely visible in the darkness beyond my desk lamp's reach, was something tall and thin. I spun around in my chair. Nothing behind me but the wall and my closet door, slightly ajar as always. When I turned back to my phone, I was greeted by my own face. The front camera had activated, showing me my reflection. But in the corner of the frame, barely visible in the darkness of my room, there was a smudge. A shadow that didn't quite match the furniture around it. Level 39, the monster is very close now. The camera view remained active, but text overlaid my image, find the monster in this room. I was the room now. I was part of the game. I moved the phone around, using it like a viewfinder to examine my bedroom through the screen. Everything looked normal until I pointed it toward my closet. In the phone's display, the closet door appeared to be open wider than it actually was, and the darkness inside seemed deeper, more substantial. I stood up and walked to the closet, phone extended in front of me like a shield. Through the screen, I could see hangers and clothes, shoes on the floor, boxes on the upper shelf. Nothing unusual. But when I lowered the phone and looked with my naked eyes, everything appeared exactly as it should. The discrepancy between what I saw through the camera and what I saw directly was subtle but undeniable. Correct. You're learning to see. Level 40, the monster wants to be found. The camera remained active, but now the image was frozen, a still shot of me standing in front of my closet, phone raised. In this frozen image, I could clearly see myself, but I could also see something else. Something standing right behind me, tall enough that its head would be just above mine, thin enough that it was mostly hidden by my body. I spun around. Nothing there. I looked back at the phone. In the frozen image, the thing behind me had moved slightly, as if adjusting its position to remain hidden behind my body. I stepped to the side. In the real world, nothing changed. In the phone's frozen image, the thing stepped with me. My breathing became shallow. The rational part of my mind insisted this was some kind of augmented reality feature, a clever programming trick. But my primitive brain, the part that had kept my ancestors alive when things with teeth hunted them in the dark, was screaming warnings. Level 41, the monster doesn't want to play anymore. The frozen image began to move again, but not in real time. It was playing backwards, showing me walking backward to my bed, sitting down, playing earlier levels of the game. But in this reverse playback, I could see the thing more clearly. It had been there all along, standing in different corners of my room, always just outside my direct line of sight. In the reversed footage, I watched it move closer over the course of the night. In the early levels, it had been by the door. By level 20, it was near my dresser. By level 30, it was beside my bed. The reverse playback stopped at the beginning of my gaming session. In the image, I was reaching for my phone to start the game, and the thing was standing directly behind my chair, looking down at my screen. Level 42, the game is over. The screen went black except for a single line of text, "Thank you for playing." The monster had fun. Then, below it, the monster would like to play again tomorrow. And finally, the monster will be waiting. The app closed itself. When I tried to find it again, the icon was gone. There was no trace of it in my phone's memory, no record in my download history. I sat in my bedroom, staring at my phone's home screen. The rational explanations crowded my mind, sophisticated programming, clever use of camera tricks, maybe even some kind of elaborate prank. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed. I became hyper-aware of every shadow in my room, every peripheral movement that might not be my imagination. The space behind me felt charged with potential presence. My closet door, which I always left slightly open, now seemed like a mouth waiting to whisper secrets. Over the following days, I tried to forget about the game. I applied for jobs, cleaned my apartment, attempted to establish a normal sleep schedule. But I found myself constantly checking over my shoulder, using reflective surfaces to examine spaces I couldn't see directly. Occasionally, I caught glimpses of something that didn't belong, a shadow that moved independently of its source, a reflection that showed more than what was actually there. Each time, I convinced myself it was fatigue, stress, the lingering psychological effect of the game. But late at night, when I'm lying in bed trying to sleep, I sometimes hear the soft sound of fingers tapping on glass. When I check my phone, the screen is dark. The sound seems to be coming from inside the walls, or perhaps from the space between spaces, where things that shouldn't exist might wait patiently for their next opportunity to play. I haven't seen the advertisement again, but I've started noticing other people playing games on their phones with unusual intensity. Their eyes have the same fixed, absorbed quality mine must have had that night. They stare at their screens with the focused desperation of someone trying to find something that doesn't want to be found. Sometimes, when I walk past them, I glimpse their screens for just a moment. The images look like rooms, bedrooms, kitchens, living spaces. And in those brief glimpses, I can usually spot what they're looking for. The monster is always there, hiding in plain sight. And it's getting better at the game. I wonder how long it will be before it gets tired of hiding and decides it wants to be the one doing the searching instead.